The quantum resonance chambers hummed with a barely perceptible vibration, their crystalline structures holding more computational power than entire planetary networks. Captain Keiko Nakamura watched the intricate dance of light and energy play across the bridge's holographic displays, her cybernetic eye parsing information at speeds that would have been impossible just a decade earlier. Outside the ship's quantum-shielded hull, the darkness of deep space stretched into infinity. The horizon moved like a whisper, its advanced camouflage technology bending light and quantum signatures around its hull. Traditional detection methods were useless against this marvel of human engineering. In the ship's central command hub, a team of specialists worked with an almost telepathic synchronization. Lieutenant Carlos Reyes managed the quantum navigation systems, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that seemed to anticipate his every thought. Beside him, Dr. Yuki Chen monitored the ship's revolutionary adaptive shielding, a technology that had been deemed impossible by every major scientific consortium in the known galaxy. The mission was deceptively simple: penetrate the most heavily defended sector of Concordance space, demonstrate humanity's technological capabilities, and open a dialogue that would forever change the balance of power. But nothing about this mission was truly simple. Keiko recalled the briefings, the years of preparation that had led to this moment. Humanity had been underestimated for centuries, a species confined to a single solar system, considered primitive by the advanced civilizations that dominated galactic politics. But those civilizations knew nothing of human potential. A soft chirp from the navigation console broke her reverie. Lieutenant Reyes looked up, his dark eyes reflecting the holographic displays. "Captain, we're approaching the first quantum barrier. Adaptive camouflage is holding at 99.8% efficiency." The first quantum barrier was more than just a defensive line. It was a complex network of quantum entanglement sensors designed to detect even the slightest disruption in spacetime. Civilizations had spent millennia perfecting these detection systems. The horizon was about to prove them obsolete. Dr. Chen's voice was calm, almost clinical. "Quantum signature compression is stable. We're maintaining zero-point energy resonance within acceptable parameters." Her hands moved with precise, calculated movements, adjusting micro-tolerances that would be invisible to any other species. Keiko allowed herself the slightest smile. This was more than a military mission. It was a statement. Humanity was no longer content to be viewed as a footnote in galactic history. The ship's neural link eye, an unprecedented fusion of quantum computing and adaptive learning algorithms, processed millions of potential scenarios each microsecond. It was watching, learning, anticipating. The barrier approached, a complex web of quantum sensors that had never been breached. "Prepare quantum slip drive," Keiko commanded. Her voice was steady, betraying none of the anticipation that buzzed beneath the surface. Lieutenant Reyes confirmed the sequence. The quantum resonance chambers began to pulse with increasing intensity, creating a field that seemed to bend the very fabric of spacetime around the horizon. Outside, to any observer, nothing would appear to change. But within the ship, the crew knew they were about to make history. The first quantum barrier was moments away. Centuries of galactic assumptions were about to be challenged. And humanity was ready. The archives of the United Earth Historical Database told a story of transformation that defied all galactic expectations. Dr. Elena Rodriguez scrolled through the holographic displays, her fingers tracing the timeline of humanity's most remarkable century. It had begun with a moment of global unity unprecedented in human history. The climate crisis of the 2040s had pushed humanity to the brink of collapse, forcing nations to set aside centuries of conflict. The Great Collaboration emerged from humanity's darkest hour, a global initiative that merged scientific resources, technological capabilities, and human potential into a single focused effort. The first breakthrough came from an unlikely source. A joint research team from Lagos, Mumbai, and Sao Paulo developed the initial quantum resonance algorithms that would eventually revolutionize space travel. What started as a project to solve energy distribution problems became the foundation of humanity's quantum leap into the cosmos. Dr. Rodriguez remembered the stories passed down through her family. Her grandmother had been part of the first wave of global scientific reorganization. Nations had dismantled traditional borders, creating collaborative research zones that prioritized human knowledge over political boundaries. The Tri-Star Confederation's first contact had been almost comical in its condescension. The diplomatic mission arrived in 2089, expecting to find a primitive species struggling with basic technological challenges. Instead, they discovered a planet in the midst of a technological renaissance. Holographic displays in the historical archive flickered to life, showing the moment of first contact. The alien delegation, tall crystalline beings from the Zorak system, had approached with what they believed was superior technology. Their shock was palpable when human scientists began discussing quantum mechanics and adaptive neural networks that challenged everything in their own scientific understanding. The turning point came with the Global Quantum Initiative of 2095. Humanity had transformed its approach to scientific research, creating a distributed intelligence network that allowed for unprecedented collaborative innovation. Every major research center became a node in a global brain, sharing information at speeds that defied traditional computational limitations. Dr. Rodriguez zoomed in on a historical record. The initial human quantum communication network had been developed in just 18 months, a time frame that would have taken other civilizations centuries. It wasn't just about technological capability, it was about adaptability, creativity, and an almost intuitive approach to problem solving. The Tri-Star Confederation had classified humans as a developing species, a diplomatic euphemism that barely concealed their true belief that humanity was fundamentally inferior. They had no understanding of the cultural and technological revolution brewing on Earth. What they didn't see was the fundamental difference in human approach. While other galactic civilizations approached technology as a linear progression, humans viewed it as a creative act. Every challenge was an opportunity for reimagination, every limitation a chance to break through existing paradigms. The quantum slip drive technology was a perfect example. Developed by a collaborative team that included engineers from Tokyo, Berlin, and Buenos Aires, it represented a complete reimagining of space travel. Traditional faster-than-light technologies relied on massive energy expenditures and complex navigation systems. The human approach was elegantly simple yet mind-bendingly complex. Dr. Rodriguez paused on an image of the first successful quantum slip drive test. A small research vessel had simply winked out of existence in one location and appeared light years away, without the massive energy signatures that typically accompanied such travel. It was as if the ship had simply decided to be somewhere else. The historical record told a story of rapid transformation. In less than 50 years, humanity had gone from a planet on the brink of ecological collapse to a species that was rewriting the fundamental understanding of physics, communication, and space exploration. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The defense platforms of the Galactic Concordance were marvels of engineering that had maintained peace for centuries. Massive structures larger than most moons hung in strategic positions, their sensor arrays capable of detecting the slightest quantum fluctuation across entire star systems. Lieutenant Carlos Reyes watched the incoming sensor data with a calm that belied the complexity of what was happening. The horizon wasn't just avoiding detection. It was systematically rewriting the fundamental understanding of stealth technology. Quantum interference pattern stabilizing. Dr. Yuki Chen reported from her station. Her fingers danced across holographic interfaces, making microscopic adjustments that would have been impossible for any other species to comprehend. The first defense platform detected something. A ghost of a signal, a quantum whisper that lasted less than a femtosecond. By the time its complex tracking systems began to respond, the signal had already transformed, shifted, become something else entirely. Captain Kiko Nakamura observed the unfolding scenario with a clinical precision. This wasn't just a military operation. It was a demonstration of potential, a statement about human capability that would echo through galactic communication networks. The alien defense systems began to react. Massive energy weapons charge, their intricate targeting systems attempting to lock onto the horizon. But the human ship moved differently. It didn't just dodge or evade. It existed in a state of quantum probability that defied traditional tracking methods. RISE initiated the Quantum Interference Protocol. Millions of micro-quantum projectors across the ship's hull began to generate complex interference patterns. To the alien sensor networks, the horizon became less than a shadow. It became a mathematical impossibility. Sensor networks are going into cascading confusion, Dr. Chen reported. Her voice carried a hint of professional pride. The alien defense systems were experiencing something they had never encountered before, a target that didn't just move, but fundamentally challenged the physics of detection. The first defense platform fired. A massive energy beam capable of destroying entire planetary installations erupted from its core. But the beam passed through empty space, targeting a position where the horizon had been microseconds earlier and would be microseconds later. Quantum slip drive technology allowed the ship to exist in multiple potential locations simultaneously. Each potential location was both real and unreal, a state of existence that broke every known rule of spatial navigation. Adaptive camouflage at maximum efficiency, RISE announced. The ship's exterior was now generating a complex quantum field that absorbed, redirected, and transformed incoming sensor data. It wasn't just hiding. It was actively manipulating the very fabric of perception. The defense platforms began to communicate with each other, their complex neural networks trying to make sense of the impossible data they were receiving. Something was moving through their defensive grid, but it wasn't moving in any way they could understand. Captain Nakamura allowed herself the slightest smile. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment. Every technological breakthrough, every complex research project had been leading to this demonstration of capability. The alien defense networks continued their futile attempts to track the horizon. They were fighting against a technology so advanced, it was less like a weapon and more like a mathematical proof, elegant, complex, and fundamentally transformative. Quantum signature compression is holding, Dr. Chen confirmed. The ship continued its impossible journey, passing through the most sophisticated defensive grid in known space as easily as a thought passes through consciousness. This was more than a mission. This was a declaration. Humanity had arrived. The neural link interface of the horizon was unlike anything in galactic engineering. It wasn't just a computer system. It was a living, breathing ecosystem of computational potential that merged human creativity with quantum computational theory. Dr. Maya Chen stood at the central neural link station, her neural implants creating a direct connection that went beyond traditional human-machine interfaces. The ship's artificial intelligence was more of a collaborative partner than a mere tool. Each microsecond brought millions of potential scenarios, analyzed and evaluated with a speed and creativity that defied conventional understanding. Incoming energy cascade from the Stellar Axis Defensive Network, Lieutenant Carlos Reyes called out. His voice was calm, almost conversational, despite the magnitude of the threat. The neural link eye, which the crew had unofficially named Horizon, began its intricate dance of probability and prevention. It wasn't about blocking the incoming energy. It was about understanding it, predicting it, and transforming it. Holographic displays erupted around the bridge, showing complex mathematical models that shifted and changed faster than human eyes could track. Each model represented a potential interaction, a possible response to the incoming defensive measures. Captain Kiko Nakamura watched the symphony of technology unfold. The Horizon was more than a ship. It was a living proof of human innovation. Every system was adaptive, every component capable of reimagining its own purpose in real time. The energy cascade approached. Traditional defensive systems would have attempted to block or deflect. The Horizon did something entirely different. Quantum absorption protocol initiated, Dr. Chen announced. Her neural implants were extensions of the ship's computational network, processing information at speeds that blurred the line between human and machine. The incoming energy didn't just get absorbed. It got analyzed, understood, and then redirected. Complex quantum algorithms broke down the energy signature, understanding its fundamental composition at a level that would have taken other civilizations decades of research. Rise monitored the energy redirection. What should have been a devastating attack was transformed into additional power for the ship's systems. The horizon was literally consuming the defensive network's attack, turning potential destruction into fuel for its continued journey. Adaptive shielding is experiencing an exponential efficiency increase, the ship's AI reported. Its voice was a neutral synthesis, devoid of emotion, but filled with a kind of pure analytical excitement. The bridge crew moved with a synchronization that spoke to years of training and a fundamental understanding of each other. Dr. Chen's fingers danced across holographic interfaces, making microscopic adjustments that would have been invisible to any other species. Lieutenant Sophia Rodriguez managed the quantum navigation systems. Her background in theoretical physics allowed her to see the mathematical poetry in the ship's movements. Each navigation adjustment was less a mechanical action and more an artistic expression of mathematical potential. The Stellar Axis defensive network continued its futile attack. Each attempt was not just neutralized but studied, analyzed, and ultimately transformed. The horizon was learning, growing more powerful with every moment of engagement. Captain Nakamura understood the deeper significance of this encounter. This wasn't just a demonstration of technological superiority. It was a statement about human potential, the ability to transform challenges into opportunities, to see beyond existing paradigms. The ship's systems continued their impossible dance. Energy waves that would have obliterated entire planetary installations were being parsed, understood, and redirected with a casual elegance that bordered on the miraculous. Quantum resonance at optimal levels, Rise reported. The ship hummed with an energy that was more than mechanical. It was a living, breathing testament to human innovation. This was more than a journey through space. This was humanity's declaration to the galaxy. We are here. We are possible. The communication chamber of the horizon was a marvel of linguistic and quantum communication technology. As alien fleets scattered in confusion, Captain Keiko Nakamura prepared to deliver a message that would reshape galactic diplomacy. Lieutenant Carlos Reyes managed the quantum communication array, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that pulsed with potential. The system was designed to do far more than simply transmit words. It was engineered to communicate nuance, intent, and possibility. Quantum communication protocols are stable, Dr. Yuki Chen reported. Her voice carried a subtle note of anticipation. This wasn't just a military mission. It was a first true attempt at meaningful dialogue with the Galactic Concordance. The communication array began to pulse with a complex series of quantum-encoded signals. Traditional communication methods relied on linear language and straightforward translation. The human approach was fundamentally different, a multidimensional communication that could convey layers of meaning beyond simple words. Captain Nakamura studied the holographic displays, showing the reactions of the Galactic Concordance leadership: confusion, fear, uncertainty. These were the expected responses to something truly unprecedented. The message was carefully constructed. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a declaration of war. It was an invitation, a precise, mathematically elegant proposal of collaborative potential. Initiating primary communication sequence, Rise announced. The quantum communication array began to generate a signal that was simultaneously a message, a mathematical proof, and a diplomatic overture. Dr. Chen monitored the signal's complexity. Each quantum-encoded transmission carried multiple layers of meaning. Scientific data intertwined with diplomatic nuance, mathematical proofs danced with cultural context. It was communication as an art form, as a complex mathematical expression of potential. The Galactic Concordance leadership found themselves confronting something entirely unexpected. The human communication wasn't just a message, it was a comprehensive demonstration of technological and intellectual capability. Fragments of the transmission began to be decoded across various alien communication networks. We come not as conquerors, but as potential collaborators. Our technology is an invitation, not a weapon. Understand us not through fear, but through possibility. Lieutenant Sofia Rodriguez managed the cultural context algorithms. These weren't simple translation programs. They were complex systems designed to communicate the fundamental human approach to innovation, collaboration, and potential. The communication array continued its impossible transmission. It was simultaneously a diplomatic message, a scientific dissertation, and a mathematical proof of human capability. Captain Nakamura watched the holographic displays show the cascading responses. Alien communication networks were struggling to process the complexity of the transmission. This wasn't just a message, it was a fundamental challenge to their understanding of communication itself. Quantum entanglement communication stabilizing, Rise reported. The signal was now propagating across multiple potential communication channels, existing in a state of simultaneous transmission and potential. Dr. Chen's voice carried a hint of excitement. We're receiving initial response signals. They're confused, but intrigued. The bridge crew understood the deeper significance of this moment. This was more than a diplomatic mission. This was humanity's first true attempt to communicate with the galaxy on its own terms. The horizon held its position, a silent testament to human potential. The quantum communication array continued its impossible transmission, an invitation written in the language of mathematics, possibility, and hope. We are here, the transmission seemed to say, and we have so much to share. The Stellar Axis Battle Group represented the most advanced military technology in known space. Massive ships with dimensional weapon systems that had subjugated entire star systems now turned their full offensive capabilities toward the single human vessel. Lieutenant Carlos Reyes watched the incoming threat with a calm that would have seemed impossible to any other species. Dimensional weapon signatures detected, he reported. His voice was steady, almost clinical. Dr. Yuki Chen's fingers flew across the holographic interfaces, initiating a series of adaptive defensive protocols that existed beyond traditional understanding of protection. The horizon wasn't just going to defend, it was going to transform the very nature of the attack. Dimensional weapons were the pinnacle of galactic military technology. They didn't just destroy. They unraveled the fundamental fabric of space-time, creating cascading destruction that could unmake entire planetary systems. The Stellar Axis believed these weapons were undefendable. They were about to be proven wrong. Captain Kiko Nakamura observed the incoming attack with a precision that bordered on mathematical perfection. The bridge of the horizon hummed with potential, every system working in a complex symphony of defensive innovation. The first dimensional weapon fired. It was a burst of energy that didn't just move through space. It moved through potential realities. Normally, such a weapon would create cascading destruction, unraveling the molecular structures of anything in its path. But the horizon was anything but normal. Quantum absorption field at maximum efficiency, Dr. Chen announced. The ship's adaptive shielding began to do something impossible. Instead of blocking the dimensional weapon, it began to analyze it, understand it, and ultimately transform it. Lieutenant Sofia Rodriguez managed the energy redirection systems. What should have been a moment of total destruction became something entirely different. The dimensional weapon's energy was being parsed, understood, and ultimately redirected. The Stellar Axis Battle Group watched in stunned disbelief. Their most advanced weapon, a technology that had brought entire civilizations to their knees, was being consumed by the human vessel. Reyes monitored the energy transformation. The dimensional weapon's destructive potential was being converted into additional power for the Horizon systems. It wasn't just defense, it was a complete reimagining of the concept of military engagement. Dimensional energy conversion at 98.7% efficiency, the ship's Neuralink AI reported. Its voice carried no emotion, but the implications were profound. Captain Nakamura understood the deeper significance of this moment. This wasn't just about technological superiority. This was a fundamental challenge to the existing understanding of warfare, of defense, of possibility itself. The Stellar Axis continued its assault. Wave after wave of dimensional weapons fired, each more powerful than the last. Each weapon was absorbed, analyzed, transformed. Dr. Chen's neural implants worked in perfect synchronization with the ship's systems. She wasn't just monitoring the defensive protocols, she was part of them. The line between human intelligence and technological capability had become beautifully blurred. Adaptive shielding is experiencing exponential efficiency increase, the Neuralink AI reported. With each incoming weapon, the horizon became more powerful, more adaptive, more impossible. The battle group's communication networks began to break down. How do you fight something that doesn't just survive your most advanced weapons, but grows stronger from them? Lieutenant Reyes allowed himself the slightest smile. This was more than a defensive action. This was a demonstration of human potential. The horizon continued its impossible journey, transforming destruction into potential with each passing moment. "We are here," the ship seemed to say, "and we are something entirely new." The emergency Galactic conference convened in a massive interdimensional communication chamber, a space that typically dwarfed the representatives of lesser civilizations. Today, it felt uncomfortably small. Captain Kiko Nakamura stood at the center of a holographic projection, her presence filling the chamber despite her relatively small physical form. Behind her, the horizon's data streams created a living backdrop of mathematical complexity that defied traditional understanding. Dr. Yuki Chen managed the communication protocols, her neural implants processing layers of linguistic and cultural nuance that went far beyond simple translation. This wasn't just a diplomatic meeting. It was a first true attempt at mutual understanding. The representatives of the Galactic Concordance sat in stunned silence. The Zortak Imperium's lead diplomat, a crystalline being named Kralix, was the first to break the silence. "Explain," Kralix demanded, his translucent form flickering with complex emotional patterns. "How is this possible?" Lieutenant Carlos Reyes began to project a series of holographic displays. Each image was a mathematical proof, a technological demonstration, a cultural insight. Humanity's proposal was not a demand, but an invitation. The presentation unfolded like a living document. Technological capabilities intertwined with collaborative potential. It wasn't just about what humanity could do. It was about what humanity could help others achieve. "We come with an offer of collaborative research," Captain Nakamura began. Her voice was calm, precise, carrying the weight of decades of human innovation. "Our technology is not a weapon. It is a key to unlock potential." The holographic displays showed glimpses of human technological development, the climate restoration projects, the quantum communication breakthroughs, the adaptive energy systems that had transformed human civilization from the brink of ecological collapse. Dr. Sofia Rodriguez managed the cultural context algorithms. These weren't simple presentations. They were carefully crafted narratives that showed humanity's fundamental approach to problem-solving. The Galactic Concordance leadership found themselves confronting something entirely unexpected. This wasn't a species seeking conquest. This was a species offering partnership. Kralix struggled to process the information. The human proposal challenged every existing paradigm of galactic interaction. Technological exchange that wasn't about military superiority. Collaborative research that prioritized mutual growth. "You destroyed our most advanced defensive networks," another representative interjected. "And now you offer collaboration." Captain Nakamura's response was immediate. "We demonstrated capability. We did not cause unnecessary destruction. Every defensive measure was neutralized with minimum impact. We are here to show potential, not to intimidate." The Neuralink eye of the horizon began to generate real-time translation matrices that went beyond words. Cultural context, emotional nuance, potential misunderstandings. All were processed and managed in real time. Lieutenant Reyes projected a series of potential collaborative projects: quantum communication improvements, adaptive energy systems, ecological restoration technologies. Each proposal was a mathematical invitation, a proof of mutual benefit. The chamber began to shift. What had started as a defensive meeting was transforming into something else entirely. The representatives of the Galactic Concordance were no longer seeing a threat. They were seeing a possibility. Dr. Chen monitored the communication matrices. The emotional tone of the meeting was changing. Fear was being replaced by curiosity. Defensiveness was giving way to potential. "We are not here to replace," Captain Nakamura said, her voice carrying the weight of human history. "We are here to collaborate, to grow, to explore what is possible together." The Horizon's holographic displays continued their impossible dance of information. Mathematical proofs, technological demonstrations, cultural insights. "We are here," the presentation seemed to say, "and we have so much to share." The quantum communication chambers of the Galactic Concordance headquarters vibrated with a newfound energy. What had begun as a potentially catastrophic encounter had transformed into something entirely unexpected. Captain Kiko Nakamura stood at the center of a holographic projection that represented the first true moment of mutual understanding between humanity and the greater galactic community. The Horizon remained just outside the primary communication sphere, a silent testament to the human potential. Lieutenant Carlos Reyes monitored the ongoing data streams. Each moment brought new possibilities, new potential collaborations that would have been unimaginable just days earlier. The neural link systems continued to process layers of information that went far beyond traditional diplomatic exchange. Dr. Yuki Chen managed the cultural translation matrices. This was more than a simple first contact scenario. It was a fundamental reimagining of interstellar cooperation. The representatives of the Galactic Concordance began to understand that humanity was something entirely different. Not a threat, not a potential conquest, but a collaborative partner with a unique approach to innovation and problem-solving. Initial collaborative proposals began to take shape. Quantum communication networks that could revolutionize interstellar information exchange. Adaptive ecological restoration technologies that could heal damaged planetary systems. Energy generation methods that could transform entire civilizations' understanding of resource management. "We do not seek to replace," Captain Nakamura had explained during the final negotiation session. "We seek to collaborate, to grow, to explore potential together." The Zortak Diplomatic Corps, traditionally the most conservative of the galactic powers, found themselves most intrigued. Humanity's approach was not about domination, but about mutual growth. Each technological demonstration was an invitation, not a challenge. Lieutenant Sofia Rodriguez managed the technological exchange protocols. Decades of human research, from climate restoration to quantum computing, were now being offered as collaborative potential. It wasn't about superiority. It was about shared progress. The Horizon continued its impossible existence just outside the communication sphere, the living demonstration of technologies that challenged fundamental understanding of physics, communication, and potential. Dr. Chen's neural implants processed the ongoing negotiations. The human delegation wasn't presenting a finished product. They were offering a partnership, a journey of mutual discovery. Chronicles, the lead Zortak diplomat, struggled to articulate the fundamental shift happening before their eyes. Humanity had not conquered. They had invited. They had not destroyed. They had transformed. The first collaborative research stations were already being planned. Joint quantum communication projects, shared ecological restoration initiatives, collaborative technological development that transcended traditional galactic boundaries. Captain Nakamura understood the deeper significance of this moment. This was more than a diplomatic breakthrough. This was a fundamental reimagining of how civilizations could interact. The neural link eye of the Horizon continued to generate potential scenarios, each more fascinating than the last. Millions of potential collaborative paths unfolded in complex mathematical beauty. Lieutenant Reyes watched the holographic displays with a sense of profound possibility. Humanity had not just entered the galactic stage. They had reimagined what that stage could be. "We are here," Captain Nakamura had said during the final negotiation. "Not to conquer, not to replace, but to collaborate." The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. A new era was beginning. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. Epilogue. In the vast darkness of space, a single ship represented something more than technology. It represented possibility.